You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast with Sinan Schwarting and Kaan Bayazit.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru atış kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Cuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 90 of Beşiktaş International's The Black Eagles podcast. We are back. A long break. Of course, dark times for Beşiktaş and all around, I suppose. But yeah, we are back. And hopefully we're going to get things back on schedule here. Start getting our episodes more regularly out there for you guys. But meanwhile, I do have, first of all, I am Sinan Schwarting, coming live from New York City, as always, and I do have a co-host with me here today, and it is Evran Akman, or the Akman, as Kaan likes to call him. How you doing?
Doing all right. Just ready to talk about our wonderful team that is Beşiktaş this season.
Yeah, and I don't sense any sarcasm in that statement of yours. I feel like that was very genuine.
Yeah, I think this might be the best team we've ever seen.
Hard to argue that.
Yeah.
Really, like, how could you be unhappy with it? Everything is going smoothly. We have no problems to report. No, of course, that's not the truth. Although I think we are going to probably kind of end this on a hopefully more positive note on the flip side. But yeah, let's dig in a little bit. So we have 3 matches to report. We've been gone for like 2.5 weeks. But so where we left off last, I believe, was sort of unsatisfactory 1-1 draw against Başakşehir. And we, I think, hoped but worried that Trabzonspor might be a mountain too tough to climb. And then, of course, after that, we would have Wolverhampton Wolves. Is that what they're called? The Wolverhampton Wolves?
Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wanderers, yeah. Sorry.
They go,
but they're
Wolves
called
for
the
short.
Wolves?
Yeah, it was Wolverhampton. So they go
Come
by
on, like
Wolves.
Wanderers and Wolves. Make up your minds, guys. Please, just for the sake of clarity here. And then, finally, we didn't even kind of consider the ramifications of this, but we would come up against Alanyaspor, and obviously we would all hope for that to be better, or a kind of redemption song of sorts. But anyway, let's talk about Trabzonspor briefly.
Yeah.
Evran, if you will, kind of quickly, what were your thoughts going into the Trabzon match? Do you recall?
It was a while ago. I think it was wasn't the most positive, but I was, we just tied Başakşehir, so I was just, maybe hoping we could potentially get a tie win kind of thing, maybe show some improvement. Trabzon wasn't having the greatest season up to that point either. They also had just lost the previous league game, and they lost midweek Europa League. I don't think they won for like 5 games before that, so they also had missing players. This is probably our chance to get a win versus Trabzon, who's probably a better team than us this year somehow. So that was my thoughts.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, we're going to kind of breeze through these first 2 matches, this and the Wolves match, for the sake of brevity. There's too many matches to cover in one episode, and we don't want to keep you guys here for 3 hours. That's not the typical format for a podcast. I don't know if you guys want like sort of studio essays or something. Like, we could create a new format for this, but on the other hand, maybe not, because another reason for cutting these 2 matches short was that they were sort of not very positive things. And so I'll just cut right to it. First of all, our lineup for the Trabzonspor match had Karius in the goal, Necip Uysal and Domingos Vida on the back line as the two central defenders, with Gökhan Gönül on the right side and Caner Erkin on the left side of the defense. Dorukhan Tokuz would start in the defensive midfielder sort of slot alongside Atiba Hutchinson, with Ozan the, I guess, attacking midfielder of sorts, although really I think it was kind of a 3 central midfielder line of, I don't know. On the right side of the offense was Tyler Boyd and Nkudu on the left, with Burak Yilmaz fully back, inserted into the lineup. How'd you feel about that lineup?
I mean, I feel like I was happy to see Ozan get a chance in the 11. I think we were kind of calling to see maybe Tyler Boyd get a chance. Playing. So I think overall, other than Necip, I don't want him to play just because he had a good game last game. And I think we all know who Necip is. Just because he has one good game doesn't mean he's a good player. He's clearly not. He's like 28. Yeah. Not going to improve out of nowhere. So.
And in case anyone had any doubts, he would definitely be responsible for a few of our misfortunes in this Trabzonspor
match. Definitely had was not as good as he was the previous game against Başakşehir.
Yeah, to put it mildly. Or you could say he was sort of back to his
typical
Necipian form. In the 31st minute, things would be. I'm just going to cut right to the goals, I guess. 31st minute, things would not go well for Beşiktaş, and Dorukhan would score on his own team, on our own team.
Flicked in a Sosa free kick, yeah.
Yeah, header. You know, it's one of those things where it's like really kind of no one's fault. Very
unfortunate.
It was a great misfortune. It was a very unfortunate, yeah.
Of the utmost misfortune.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you. That was very Shakespearean. Nice. But so, yeah, unfortunate, unfair. Although I think Trabzon probably looked the more dangerous of the two sides, as I recall. It was a while ago, huh? To follow it up, by the way, I'm not going to go through all of the cards in this match because there were like 8 for Beşiktaş. But 2 minutes after scoring against Beşiktaş, Dorukhan got himself a yellow card. So, you know, whoop, whoop, hooray.
Yeah.
My man is having a good
couple
day
minutes
here.
Right there.
Yeah. And then in the 42nd minute, Sosa would score with an assist from Parmak.
Yeah, it was a deflected long shot. So Sosa was getting the
I'm surprised they gave him the credit because it was a clear deflection goal. But I guess they decided it was goalward bound before the deflection. But yeah, it bumped off Necip's head. This was much more Necip's fault than Dorukhan's was, I thought, because Dorukhan tried and just directed it kind of like almost in the one place at the goal where it couldn't go. In this case, Necip kind of just smashed his head on it.
Yeah, he tried to block with his head.
Right, he could have probably gotten his chest to it if he jumped into it. He probably could have gotten more on it in general, or just left it. Yeah, but so instead he kind of just let it smash off his head and into goal.
Yeah, wrong.
And he didn't direct it. He didn't move his head. He just retained it kind of, so it didn't even move much, just enough to sort of displace Karius and go into the goal. And that's how it would end at the half, with Trabzon up 2-0 at home. So things are not looking good. Diaby would come in for Boyd, and that wouldn't really do much for us. Still in the 64th minute, Sorloth scored, and on perhaps Trabzon's first legit goal. Nwakaeme with a nice assist.
Yeah, it was ruled out. I think it was Nwakaeme crossed it to Sorloth. The referee called offside, and the VAR showed that it wasn't offside.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was well timed.
Not the greatest marking on
not
that
the
one.
greatest marking. And I mentioned that Diaby came in for Boyd at the half. In the 67th minute, Guven Yalçın would come into the match for Domagoj Vida. So we're down 3-0. Obviously, all plans out the window. They're going forward. Still, not the most thoughtful substitution, perhaps, but interesting. And then actually Guven Yelchin would score in the 79th minute. An assist from John Erkin. He just kind of got the ball in a good position and made pretty good contact on it, to be honest. It was kind of mid-level, so he had to hit it on the volley, and it was like right in front of him, kind of a tough...
kind of like the corner for like someone for the header went over their head and it just kind of bounced off the floor into his thighs, kind of just sat up for him.
Yeah, but it's one of those ones where you could easily sky, so he did fairly well.
I think we all know Guven can shoot a ball, it's just he's had a lot of issues getting into shooting position.
Exactly. The ball had to literally bounce to him out of luck in order for him to even get into that position. But even still, Trabzon would not be done. In the 88th minute, Nwakaeme would score. To cap off was actually a really good game for him. You can't deny. He played very well. I'm a Nwakaeme fan. I think he's a little too old to qualify as a Beşiktaş, grab, but he's been very effective whenever I've seen him play. But yeah, he scored. Umut Çakır gave him the assist. Sturridge would come on in the 89th minute and almost score from like midfield. Do you remember that? He took a shot like off a free kick or something from like just past midway point.
I don't remember that, to be honest.
And it rocketed off the post. So he went for it. Not much just to be said for his performance, though. That's how it would end. 4-1. Trabzon. Grim. Very grim stuff. Beşiktaş, at this point, was near the bottom of the table. Do you recall where they were at the end of that? After that? Like
they were,
or something?
I think they were above the relegation zone. But they were within 2 points of us.
Exactly. And to be fair, like they were still on like 5 points out of like a European spot too.
And they won the next game also, so now they're back in the top 4.
Yeah, we'll get there.
It's a spoiler for Trabzon, not for us. But yeah.
Oh, in Trabzon. Okay, yeah. Trabzon won.
That's what I say.
Trabzon's probably doing pretty well right now. But we'll talk about the table after we talk about the Alanyaspor match. That's how things would look going into the midweek match against an English Premier League side. Who was also actually struggling in their own league prior. Yeah, that they had won they won their first league game, I believe, of the season right before they played us, and it was against the worst team in the Premier League, Watford, who has 0 wins all season. Awesome.
So they weren't exactly killing it themselves. They were at
right. And I think that would be reflected through most of the match. So Beşiktaş would throw out Loris Karius with Domagoj and Necip Uysal. Again, Necip
retains his spot.
But this time, Douglas. Let's just call him I always try to like Brazilian of Portuguese.
Douglas.
His name Douglas. Just Douglas. Dougie started on the right side with Rebosho on the left. Rebosho, as Khan would have said. Khan, shout out to Khan wherever you are. In the midfield. Now this again, we went with the 3-man kind of line, so with a kind of classic 4-3-3, which I'm not fond of. Certainly not performance-wise. Anyhow, how it's come out on the pitch. But yeah, this time in that midfield, you'd have El Neni would be back, of course, for the Europa League, playing in the center with Dorukhan to his right and Adem Ljajic to his left. So interesting. Adem playing as a central midfielder on the left side. Guven Yalçın would, of course, play up front because he scored a goal, and that's just like the most Turkish manager thing in the world to do. No matter what their form is, this man scored, get him in there.
Burak was also out, so someone had to play up there.
This is an Umut Nair podcast. No, I'm kidding. He's been terrible lately, too. Jermaine Lens started on the right side, and we'll talk about it, but he played fairly well, actually. And then Caner Erkin would play on the left side in the midfield, so not as a defensive player, and that's why I guess Robosho got the start. But I gotta say, so this match looked destined to be a 0-0 draw most of the way through. I guess before I even talk about that, sorry, Evran, anything to say about that lineup?
Lineup news was that originally Nkudu was supposed to start. And, yeah, he got hurt in warm-ups, and then Diaby could not play because he was sick from the night before. He picked up something, so we lost a couple. Two of our new transfers last second, and then instead we saw Lenz and John.
Yeah, and also of note is that Tyler Boyd was going to be completely left out of the squad.
Yeah, and then got added.
They had to bring him in last minute.
Went from the stands to the bench because Nkudu was hurt.
And so even so, he was there, and despite that, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about this match a little bit, shall we? This match was, by and large, I'm going to just say uneventful. But Beşiktaş, I'm also going to say, and this is perhaps more of a hot take, kind of the dominant side for the first 80 minutes, maybe.
I wouldn't say it's a hot take. I mean, overall, Beşiktaş had 62% possession. I mean,
and
it was
but not just empty
all
possession,
good possession,
right?
but yeah.
But not as empty as in previous matches.
We've seen worse. Yeah, I think we got used to really bad. So seeing something that wasn't awful,
Yeah, and so my criticism of Guven being selected aside. Excuse me, I need a little sip of water. A little hydration there on camera.
I think if you look at just the general stats, which obviously stats don't matter, Beşiktaş attempted 20 dribbles and succeeded 12. Wolves only attempted 8 and succeeded 2. I mean, those don't mean goals, but just the general dominant possession. Beşiktaş would have looked the more Wolves had their back five going on. They wanted to absorb pressure and then counter.
It felt like it too, and I will say that for much of the Bratislava game too, in the beginning, Beşiktaş looked like they were the better side and kind of looked like they were about to find their feet. I don't know if you recall, but the Bratislava match at halftime, Beşiktaş was up 2-1, and so both of these matches we've watched through BR Live, Evran and I, and so we've gotten to sort of hear a British take on Beşiktaş. And both times, the British announcer seems very positive about Beşiktaş, convinced that they're bound to win. They're playing so much better. And it's you must be new, my friend. You have no idea what's coming. But so, again, the announcer was very complimentary of Beşiktaş for much of the match, seemed perplexed that Beşiktaş had not managed to score and take over this match. Although, again, if you knew Beşiktaş of late, this would not be so perplexing. But Guven Yalçın would come out of the match in the 27th minute because of an injury
to his upper buttocks / lower back. He actually decided to show everyone in the world what his midriff looked like. But
what his butt? Yeah, he mooned. He mooned.
He mooned the camera.
He waited for a European match so he get maximum camera exposure, and he mooned as many people as possible. Talk about that. I expected to see a number of people who had his mooning the world as their profile pic on Twitter, and I wasn't disappointed. There were quite a few. So shout outs to the brilliant minds of Twitter, or not. I don't know how you take that. But again, still not much action. In fact, maybe even less so. Umut Nayir, I was going to say Mehmet Umut. Look, come on. Umut Nayir is not active. He's a very static presence up front. And so things maybe slowed down a little. But still, Beşiktaş looked the dominant side. Dorukhan got himself a yellow card. But that was it, really, as far as action.
Yeah,
and things would heat up.
Hitting the post at the end of the first half off a deflected corner. Not really sure who hit, but
that's right.
Really, we had a little 10-minute period before the half where Beşiktaş looked like they knew how to play, but that didn't return for the second half.
Yeah. Well, and so the one noteworthy event before the half starts is that Adama Traore enters the game at halftime.
Yeah.
And he would go on to like own Beşiktaş pretty thoroughly. And it doesn't help that Rabosh is getting his like second match with Beşiktaş, and he's getting particularly owned. And anyway, tough call for everyone there. But yeah, it didn't look good. Adama Traore was super fast, just
Yeah,
made
he's
everyone look
definitely
like
a
amateurs.
gym lad. That shirt wasn't. It's not like I don't think he had a shirt that was a size small. He's just that.
He just
raw.
filled it out.
Yeah. His biceps are bigger than most people's legs. I'm exaggerating
Yeah.
a little bit, but at the same time,
Not
like,
really,
I'm not
dude.
exaggerating. And
That guy was gigantic.
He's not the most creative player, but he's got really good ball control. And he, when he's moving at top speed, the ball stays pretty close to his feet. Not Messi level, but close enough that he can breeze by.
I wouldn't mind bringing him to Beşiktaş.
Yeah.
He's better than like any of the three wings we brought in. No, but he looked really good, and pretty much just made us look like amateurs for the rest of the half. And like I remember that picture of Jermaine Lens from preseason where he looked super cut because he was like flexing his leg. Like Traore's Adama's whole body looked like that. Like he was like swole. Yeah, no,
he could
didn't want to mess with
easily
him.
pass as a running back. That's basically what we're saying.
Yeah, or like snap one of our players in half, honestly.
Yeah.
Like Dorkan, one of our sort of skinnier guys. But yeah, speaking of Dorkan, in the 79th minute, he would leave the match for Ozan. Dorkan had, I think, one of his better matches, certainly of this season.
I think you could say maybe he was a little more motivated to play, considering it was against a Premier League team. And if we're being honest, if he does move on, a team like Wolves, that type of level might be the sort of side he would join, like a mid-tape top 5 league. So
you're saying it's sort of a smart...
Yeah, it was a little bit of a tryout for him.
Smart little way of showing out for a team that's interesting. In the 79th minute, Cutrone would come in for Raúl Jiménez, the Mexican national team striker, would leave the game. But Cutrone would be super effective. Seemed like he probably should have played the whole match instead of Jiménez, but whatever, that's none of our business. Gökhan Gönül would come into the match in the 84th minute for Jermaine Lens, who I think was probably our man of the match to that point. So that was interesting. And it would definitely signal a kind of decision to play more defensively and sit back, which I had to say, I said that Beşiktaş was pretty much the dominant side for 85 minutes, and it's the 85th minute where Lens came out. It was the 84th minute, sorry.
Yeah, we subbed on another fullback.
And we brought in a defensive player. Exactly.
Four fullbacks is, the ideal way to play the game, apparently.
That's how you gotta go.
Yeah.
So, and what Evran means is that we had John Air on the left wings, and now Gökhan Gönül on the right. Yeah, with Douglas.
John Air, Raboko,
and
Douglas,
Raboko. Rabosho. But yeah, and so sure enough, in the 3rd minute of extra time, Willy Boli, whose name is kind of endearing,
center
you can't
back.
Say it and then you can't be mad. But yeah, sure enough, he would put it away, and Beşiktaş would lose. Pretty much.
Yeah, which was a pretty ridiculous goal to concede. Basically, I think it was a corner or something got cleared out, and which was Wolves' really only good chance of the game, which is 90+3. Not that I'm mad about it, still to this day. But Necip decided that his center back was no longer his position. So as everyone stepped up, like the defense, all 3 of them moved in tandem. Mm-hmm. And then Necip just decided to step 5 yards even past that. So there was a gaping hole where the center back should be.
Yeah.
Neves just clipped the ball into the center back, and he kind of like poked it past Karius with no pressure. It was like, you would think with 1 minute to go as a center back, you would say maybe I should defend still. Necip said, I'm a CDM now, I play in midfield, so I'm going to step up.
Yeah. His brain lapsed.
I really can't explain.
I just want to sort of give a little shout out to myself, since nobody else is doing it. But like straight up, I said in the previous match that Necip's careless positioning, like we were lucky to that point that it had only resulted in, I think, maybe 1, or like if you were being a little more critical, 2 goals this season. But I said it's going to bite us, and it like really bit us. And terrible timing, right? Like, that was it. Excuse me. But so, yeah, we lost. I will, since this is probably a bigger game than the last, I will at least talk about the stats for this match, because you also sort of mentioned them. Beşiktaş ended this match with 63% of the ball. Wolverhampton with 37%. Beşiktaş had 11 shots to Wolverhampton's 8, but only 1 on target to their 3. So 1 shot on target, 11 shots in total. That's a terrible, as far as efficiency goes. Let's just say we were inefficient. But Beşiktaş completed 632 passes to their 383 at an 85% accuracy rate to their 78. So Beşiktaş was sharp. Statistically dominant, didn't just pass the eye test in that regard. Wolverhampton committed 15 fouls to Beşiktaş's 8. So they were the ones having to disrupt the flow of the game and kind of commit those little cheeky fouls that, to slow it down and to prevent Beşiktaş from putting the goal away, basically, because that's how it resulted. So effective, perhaps. But so despite committing nearly twice as many fouls, Beşiktaş had 2 yellow cards to their 1 somehow. 3 offsides to their 1, so Beşiktaş was pressing more, and 6 corner kicks to their 3. So, Beşiktaş definitely spent the majority of their time in Wolverhampton's half, and nothing to show for it.
Yep. Literally nothing. We didn't play great, but there was no reason to lose that game.
No.
At all. Substitutions were awful. But when you go out with a team with Caner on the left, and he ended up being one of probably our better attacking players somehow.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, but I will to defend myself. I suggested Necip should not have been playing.
Yeah, me too.
Before the Trabzons game and before the Wolves game, but whatever. But it was just a complete capitulation of actually having a good end to the half, and then somehow not taking that momentum into the second half.
Yeah,
it's gradually getting worse.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the coach making, I'm not gonna say boneheaded substitutions.
Yeah, he must have been pretty uninspiring in the locker room there.
I guess Oğuzhan for Dorukhan's not the worst, but at the 84th minute when things are going bad, he subs on an extra fullback and takes out one of our only good offensive threats because Umut Nayir was completely useless. Caner and Ljajic looking kind of tired.
Yeah, my ultimate hot take is that if they're gonna literally refuse to play Diaby, if they're not gonna play Diaby up front, I would almost rather play that
Well, Diaby was sick for the game, so I guess
to
be fair, Diaby and Kudu, we lost them, and I think if they played, maybe we win this game.
And so what I'm saying is generally, if he's not an option,
it still could have been better.
If we're picking between Kuven Yalçın and Umut Nayir, I would almost rather play that 2000 style Barcelona tiki-taka where they didn't even have a striker, and just play with 2 attacking midfielders with Ozan and Ljajic or something.
Spain style when they won the Euros with Fabregas up top.
Exactly, yeah, because screw it. Why waste? You have 11 guys on the pitch. You don't want to just put one in that's just because he can play the position. It doesn't make sense, man. You got to rotate. You got to figure something out because that's also it's been a reason for our failure so many times already. Why do we have to pretend it's gonna? It's the classic definition of insanity to do the same thing and expect a different outcome. To do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different outcome. So yeah, that's where we're kind of in the classic definition of insanity mode right now. But let's talk about our final match of this episode, anyhow. And one that, I guess we can say the outcome was better, objectively. Although I don't know if it was truly better as far as what we saw on the pitch. We'll talk about it. Beşiktaş would at least come back home and face Alanyaspor, and of course, coming back home would mean a bit of trouble for Beşiktaş, because they've had terrible results. They're 0-2 in their last 5 games. They've lost 3 of 4. They've drawn 1. They've lost 2 of 3. So their fans are going to let them know it, you'd imagine. Now, I'm going to give a special shout out here to Emre Hasturk, who has provided some stadium sounds for this last match. Again, thank you, Emre. And so, yeah, cue the sounds. Let's talk about Alanyaspor. So, coming into this match, Beşiktaş would, again, of course, start Loris Karius. Someone was back, though. So, Domagoj Vida started alongside Victor Ruiz. Senor Ruiz was back. So,
Welcome back.
Really, yeah. I don't think there was much more of...
I really wanted to see Medjip again. I was disappointed.
Yeah, after what we just said. Yeah, so he was finally out. Johnny Erkin was back on the left side of the defense. And Dorkan played on the right side as a right back. Again, I'll just... spoiler alert, he was very effective until something sad happened. But Ozan played on the back of the midfield with Atiba. So obviously Ozan in more of the central midfielder role, with Atiba in more of the defensive midfielder role. Back
to his more traditional position. Which I think we can note that we maybe have listed our formations as 4-2-3-1 before, but this is the first time we actually played a 4-2-3-1 this season instead of a more 4-1-4-1 or a 4-3-3-esque hybrid formation.
That's it. That's a very important note. Yeah, Beşiktaş finally played the promised tactic. And yeah, so Adem Ljajic was in the number 10 role, with Nkudu on the left side and Jermaine Lens getting the start again after his nice performance against Wolverhampton. Burak Yilmaz would start up front. He was back at it.
The king is back.
So yeah, any players for Alanyaspor that you think I should mention before going into the match as starting?
Let me just peek at their lineup. They had a lot of foreigners.
They sure did. Marafona, Wellington, Sabelas,
they literally
Sakala,
had
Bayano,
2 Turks in the starting 11.
Siopis, Bakasetas, Bamu, Cisse, a lot of names I don't recognize.
Yeah, Papi Cisse, which is their top scorer, six goals in the league right now.
Yeah, he might be the next sort of Diagne.
The former Newcastle striker.
That I will spend 20 million on.
Probably the big name, but they brought in a couple Greek league players, which I noticed.
Yes, Siopis.
Which was an interesting transfer policy. Siopis and Bakasetas, who were having pretty good years before this. Karaca is now a national team player. They, at that point, they were undefeated, and they have some talent on the bench. Junior Fernandez. The 2 Turks in their lineup, Ceyhun Gülselam and Emre Karaca, are longtime Super League stalwarts. They've been around the block. Ceyhun with Trabzonspor. Musa Çayıran on the bench, who was at one point considered a pretty decent talent. Now it's kind of fallen off. But yeah, overall, a solid team. I bet he was called like the Turkish Xavi at some point or something stupid. No. Maybe. But yeah, they have Erol Bulut, who's a good coach. So yeah, and Alanyaspor was flirting with that top spot all season coming into this match too. So they were actually doing. They were in top spot. They were there. Were they coming into this match? 4 wins, 2 ties. Yeah, they were 4 wins, 2 ties at that point, top of the table. Wow. So yeah, things should not have looked good for Beşiktaş against Alanyaspor. Yeah. With that said, we watched a half of football that would echo the notion that things were not good for Beşiktaş. Beşiktaş looked pretty poor that first half. Burak Yilmaz, Jermaine Lens, and Victor Ruiz all got yellow cards in that order. And no goals were scored. Lens was kind of weird, if I remember correctly. I don't even know if it was a foul and then he just got booked. So that was... like Turkish refs hate Jermaine Lens. It's like his face or something. He gets a lot of those calls. But yeah, halftime 0-0. Nothing happened. Do you remember anything from that first half of note? I think Ljajic looked pretty poor. Yeah, he really did. We would see move on. It looked a little bit more cohesive in a 4-2-3-1. I wouldn't say it was very cohesive. Still wasn't good. Ozan was not playing the way we'd expect him to, even though he's in a more comfortable role. With this clearly center mid in front of him, and he hasn't been working for him. But
I mean, it wasn't
awful. So I guess we can't expect vintage Ozan just to pop out. 2015, 16 Ozan. But
I mean, we hope maybe he comes back.
Number 15 Ozan, not number 10 Ozan.
We hope he comes back. Yeah, but maybe it was the number change.
Yeah,
maybe we need to give him back on 15.
Maybe it was a number.
I actually have his shirt with 15 on it from back in.
It was okay.
I mean, it's not going to get logged into.
You weren't losing.
It's not getting logged into Joga Bonita territory, but I don't know. It was.
You could tell he wasn't doing well because he was trying.
Yeah, no, I mean generally, not just
well,
Ozan.
He's gracefully,
I mean, Beşiktaş's play in that first half. It was not Joga Bonita.
He was working hard.
Yeah, Ozan was working hard. Ozan was okay.
Because his on-the-ball work was not up to what, we imagine he should be doing at this point. I can't even say it's expected. This is not expected.
Anyway, I'll get back to it. But so going into the second half, I don't think Beşiktaş fans had a ton to be excited about. But at the same time, we were not losing. We were in the match at 0-0. I don't know.
With a half-empty stadium.
Yeah, with a half-empty stadium against the team that was on top of the Turkish league and in super good form. But okay, whatever. Adem Ljajic would be taken out of the match at the half, and Abdoulaye Diaby would come in. And so...
Which was, the first time we would see him maybe more in a more comfortable position for him, not out on the wing.
Yeah, and so I guess
he played in a more second striker kind of Talisca-esque role.
So I
not
think
quite a number 10.
If Adem Ljajic was a central attacking mid, he would probably have moved slightly forward into more of a central forward position, perhaps. But Diaby was definitely more comfortable, very visibly, and just 7 minutes into the second half, bam, penalty. Tell us about the penalty, Evran. Who earned it for us and how?
Yeah, so our favorite winger, Nkuru, did his typical move where he cuts in and rolls it back towards his left foot.
And uses that speed burst that people just don't know what to do with.
And then this time, he actually got fouled in the box. The guy just swung at him. I think it might have been Savelas. I don't remember who did it. Pretty stupid tackle. It wasn't like he was about to score. But, he tripped him. We got the penalty. Let's go. Kind of thing. Sometimes you need a gift. Kind of like what happened against Başakşehir, where Burak wasn't going to score, but the guy fouled him anyway. I mean, maybe Nkuru would have scored, but there was a lot of work to do. So, we got that penalty. And Mr. Burak would take it again.
bitmez seninle. Ölmeye geldik Beşiktaş.
Yeah. And a nifty little penalty from Burak. Nothing special, but kind of the classic Burak penalty, kind of, in the right place. Would have been savable, but somehow it's just on the opposite side. He kind of played the keeper well. 53rd minute, Alanyaspor, just a minute after. Did he get a yellow card for the tackle? He could have, because it was a pretty nasty tackle on Nkudu. But anyway, in the 50th...
No, that was after the
penalty? Oh, was it? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
If it was...
I think it was also on Nkudu, but it wasn't the penalty call.
Yeah, he must be very frustrated to defend. He's so fast. But yeah, 57th minute, Junior Fernandez came in for Bamu, I don't know, whatever. 65th minute, Jehun Gulsalam would get himself a yellow card. 65th minute, Cisse would also get himself a yellow card. Must have been a bunch of arguing with the ref or something. I don't recall, honestly.
Yeah, I think Cisse was dissent, and then Gulsalam was a foul.
Yeah, probably. The way that the ordering was, I would assume that. But anyway, Gulsalam would come out of the match for Jalma. So now there's even one less Turk out there.
Yeah.
They're down to one, and so there is one. But yeah, in the 69th minute, and if I was a bit more juvenile, I would make a big stink about the minute there. But yeah, 69th minute, Diaby scores. A nice little assist from Burak Yilmaz. Nice little tap
goal in general.
Just a nicely created goal, I think you could say.
Yeah, I remember it was four passes back and forth between Burak and Diaby. They played a 1-2. Diaby played Burak down not in on goal, but into space on the side, outside the box, down the wing. And then Burak just cut it across goal for Diaby, who had the simple tap in. So it was a nice little sharp passing move between the two. Look like they've been playing together for years,
Yeah, right.
Well, Cenk Tosun and Burak-esque little combination, but
yeah, and they would both go on to create a goal for the national team, like the ugliest goal in footballing history, but which Cenk would put away for the national side after this match. But yeah, that would be it for the goals. Beşiktaş at that point in the 69th minute is up 2-0. Douglas would come into the match for Dorukhan in the 73rd minute, and that's where we have some bad news. Dorukhan would be clearly severely injured in this process before the sub. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Evran? Your injuries touch close to home for you, maybe, so you could.
Maybe. Yeah. So Dorukhan unfortunately hurt his knee. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. He did not tear any ligaments, but he's still going to be out for about 6 months probably. I think he did damage to his patellar tendon.
Yeah, they say 5 to 6.
Yeah, and I think it was the cartilage. I think they mentioned also. I don't remember what the Turkish report says too well, but it's not good. But he could be back at the very end of the season and should be back for the Euros.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
If you're supporting Turkey, you should be back for that. But if you're not supporting Turkey, it's good he goes back for that. But it's free tryout for transfer fees. So if we do sell him, we'd want him to do well there. But basically, Dorukhan's not in the plans for
the rest of the season.
the vast majority of the season.
Maybe
And
April.
he's, you know,
Maybe
his
like
his
April.
form was picking up.
Yeah, that's
His
the
form
worst
was picking
news
up, which
regarding.
was unfortunate.
Yeah, his injury is that he was just finding his form, just kind of.
And
finding
we
a
don't
role
really
for
have
himself.
an energetic midfielder like him. I mean, El Nenny's not like that. Ozan's not like that. Atiba can be sort of like that, but he's like 36.
Could be Muhayer
So.
time.
Yeah, Muhayer is not really like that either. He's more
Yeah,
of
no,
a
he's
more technically gifted,
probably
but
even more
you
of
know,
a 10 than a.
it's one less person that is in a midfield spot, I guess. So Maybe
The
by
good
your time.
news is we have El Neni coming back, and he
no suspense. Yeah.
he was probably our best player against Wolverhampton. In fact, he was
I mean,
solid.
I don't agree with that, but I know everyone else liked him, so I'll let that.
Yeah, I remember you were the one who wasn't fond of that. I mean, the one thing I'll say is I sure hope that doesn't mean we see more Nedjip out there, and that's like the logical thing. We probably will.
No. El Nenny's definitely better than Nedjip. For me, El Nenny is good, but I don't think he creates enough. Like against Wolves, if you look, he had 90 passes completed, and 0 of those were key passes. He had 0 chances created.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I feel like we're having a
I
general.
mean, he had
problem.
92% pass completion, but I just think when we're having an issue building up play, transitioning from defense to midfield, the player that gets the ball the most
Should be helping.
should probably doing more. You know,
Yeah, logically,
is he got the ball over 100 times and
didn't
can't
assist
remember
any
a
goals.
single time.
No, you're right. I mean, I think
He has to assist a goal, but have like a master class pass. Can you imagine you give Pirlo the ball 100 times?
Yeah, no, for sure.
At least once or twice he's gonna make that that breaking pass, that moment of brilliance, even if he's on his own box.
I'll defend him in
And he's
one
just-
way, though, insofar as.
He's doing his job and nothing
But
more.
also,
That's
bear in
how I
mind,
feel,
this
and
is
he's-
literally his
big.
second appearance for Beşiktaş. Third.
Yeah, but he's not a child. He came in with a pedigree and a huge buyout clause.
Yeah. I just mean, I think, especially regarding making
So-
cutting passes, you have to be somewhat familiar with your players, where they're running to on the pitch, what kind of spaces that they're looking for passes to come into and stuff. Like, I think it stands to reason that it takes a little time to develop that rapport on the pitch. It doesn't help, obviously, that he had a good game and then got red carded at the end, and he's been out for. Is he back in this next match now?
Yeah, he's back for the Super League.
So I mean, I think once he starts to get some sort of consistent playing time, we'll see. I think we can judge that better. Hopefully, he starts to do that. Even if not, though, I think he at least represents a kind of that was Atiba, right? Atiba had a tendency to play sideways, couldn't really go forward very effectively.
I think Atiba got criticized for that, but I would say prime Atiba would offer a little more going forward, but we also had, I guess, prime Ozan back there
Exactly,
who
yeah.
did all the heavy creative lifting. But since we're playing more of that,
And I think generally,
It's
it
hard to-
feels like it didn't seem like we were making that many moves, but at the same time, God, we really do need to establish so many new faces, right? Like on the wings, every option is a new guy, right? So, in this
Except
El
Lens.
Neni in the center of the midfield, you'd hope for Ljajic, for example, as one of the returnees, to be a stable presence, and he's been one of our worst players. Honestly,
He's gotten worse as the season's gone on. I mean, he got subbed out at halftime and he wasn't.
Yeah, and so I think you can put a lot of that on him.
Diaby was honestly indisputably better. He was sharper.
Right, like the lack of fluency in our midfield, I think you can kind of put it on some of these guys who have been around the block, who should be able to kind of facilitate better communication, kind of jumpstart that better rapport or whatever it might be, and they're not playing well. So hopefully these things will start to click into place, and we'll have a better means of judging some of these new faces. Similarly, I think Tyler Boyd, clearly we can't really defend his performances, but we can say that he has.
I have not given up on him yet because I know he has the ability, and right now I can tell he's playing like his worst
self. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's not like he's playing good. He's just not good enough. He's playing bad, and he's not good enough. So
Exactly.
Hopefully, as the team turns around, maybe he actually gets the ball in good positions, gains a little bit of confidence, because clearly he has no confidence right now. I think,
Yeah.
to be honest, I don't think Quaresma leaving helped him.
No, that was his like sort of hero.
Yeah,
In this.
his boy. And then they both played together, and in preseason when that happened, he was looking, not like a superstar, but
I mean, hey,
he looked like Tyler Boyd. So
I think the
Hopefully.
podcast voted at him as the best performer in the preseason alongside Muhayer. So
not that preseason was any good though. So
no, it was a
kind
terrible
of like,
preseason for sure. Yeah, but nonetheless, it says something that he was our best performer then, and now he's like one of our worst. So at least it would signal that there's theoretically brighter skies ahead or what have you. But so yeah, like in that regard, the good news here is certainly that Beşiktaş got a victory, 3 points against Alanyaspor.
İnanın çocuklar, güzel günler göreceğiz, güneşli günler. Fotoğrafı da birlikte süreceğiz. Şampiyonluk şarkıları söyleyeceğiz.
Let's talk about the stats a little bit here. That's a good segue. Then we'll do a little analysis. This episode shouldn't drag on too much longer. There's not There's not much more to talk about. But let's go into this. So this match statistically wasn't so pretty. Beşiktaş had 51% of possession. So, they had 49 if your math really sucks. Only 423 completed passes to 398 at a 75% rate of efficiency to their 72. Alanyaspor had 14 shots to our 7. But we had 4 on target to their 3. So they were the really inefficient attackers.
Yeah, 6 of their 14 shots were blocked. So and only 1 of our 7 shots were blocked. So
Good job, defense. I think Karius played fairly well. He's low key, like for the blunders he's had and for all the criticism he's gotten. He's low key been pretty solid back there, if we're gonna be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, 11 fouls apiece, right? Both sides committed 11 fouls. Alanya got 4 yellow cards to our 3. Beşiktaş was offside 5 times. Alanya only once. So that's good news. That suggests Beşiktaş being kind of aggressive and attacking a little bit more, maybe not very well disciplined, but at least going for it. But Alanya led with 8 corners to Beşiktaş's 4. So the stats are all over the place. It doesn't suggest Beşiktaş played its style of possession-heavy football.
I wouldn't say Beşiktaş was probably, based on the stats, it looks like they were a little worse in the Wolves game.
Yeah.
If you look like possessions close, Alanya actually completed a lot more passes in our half. We completed most of our passes in our own half. The duels, 1 loss, like basically the same. All that stuff is very similar, but I think Beşiktaş was just far more efficient in the second half after the Burak goal.
Yeah.
It wasn't amazing, but we actually created.
Just seeing the goal hit the back of the net is gonna kind of like wake you up a little.
Nice.
And so and then to see it again, that's nice, even nicer. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's weird. Last year under Şenol Güneş, the team tended to be better when they had less of the ball, which suggested they were more of a counter-attacking unit. And so again, this time,
this was more of a Şenol Güneş last season as game.
Maybe so.
Where 4-2.
Like second half of the season where we kind of lucked out with our goals, with penalty anyway, and then built a little sort of maybe unwarranted momentum from that. But anyway, so that brings us to a fun part of this episode where we get to talk about the standings. We still have a little time before our next match because of the international break. But so going into that, Alanyaspor is still in first place. So I was like, were they in first place when we played? Obviously, because they're still in first place now, even despite that loss. They have 14 points, now only 1 loss this season, which we gave them. We can say we beat the contenders. Sivasspor is in second place, tied with Trabzons and Konya on 12 points. Alanyaspor, Sivas, Trabzon, Konya. Those are the top 4. Fener is in 5th place with
tied with 3 other teams.
with Başakşehir, Antalya, and Gazişehir, which might be called Gaziantep now. I think they may have they've rebranded.
Yeah, they Gaziantep.
And then you've got Yeni Malatya and Galatasaray tied in sort of 9th/10th there. And then Göztepe at 9 and Beşiktaş in 12th place with 8 points.
Tied with 3 other teams, which puts us 1 point above the relegation.
But also
zone.
only 3 points out of 5th place, Fener.
True. Yeah, it's very tight top to bottom. It looks like we have a bottom 2, Gençlerbirliği, Kayseri 3 points.
Yeah.
It's like a top 16.
Like Kayseri and Gençler are... I'll pull out beeps on myself here, but should have in the bed. But aside from that, everyone's like, parity is the name of the game for Turkey this year.
So far. I mean, 4 Anadolu teams in the top 4.
Yeah, that's wild.
Doesn't happen every day.
I don't think it's ever happened. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this early in the season, but so anyway, what it all amounts to is that there's still plenty to play for, despite the horrid look of this season so far for Beşiktaş. They're still kind of in it, honestly. Only 6 points out of 1st.
Our competitors are also struggling.
Yeah, luckily.
Or the perceived competitors. Gala's only 2 points ahead of us.
Only 6 points out of 1st
only 3 points
place.
ahead of us. So.
Only 3 points behind Galatasaray. No, 2 points behind Galatasaray. Only 3 points behind Fener. Like, it's hard to believe that we're
the season's not done yet, but I guess we'll see how next game goes. We play Ankaragücü, who's also on 8 points. So
let's talk about that.
A very big game at this point, because I think we kind of used up most of our points.
Yeah, we can't really
to give
scrub
away.
We can't forfeit points against these teams that we need to be getting full 3 points.
We already gave away 11 points to start the season, so that's probably like more than half of what we should be giving away.
Yeah. But so stay tuned for that. Ankaragücü will be hosting us in Ankara. That will be on Saturday, October 19th, 1 p.m. here in New York. For those of us on the eastern seaboard of the United States of America. For those of you in Turkey, it's like 7 p.m., I think. For Cannes, Central Europe, 6 or 5 p.m. So it's pretty good for everyone. We get to have our lunch, watch it with lunch on Saturday.
And we have a lot of big games in the next week too. Midweek we play Braga at home, so which is the Europa League basically tilt. If we lose that game, we're basically out.
And we have the back-to-back Braga matches now, I suppose, right?
Yeah, we host Braga also, so there's 2 teams on 4 points, team on 3 points, and then we're on 0. So Braga and Bratislava at 4. So if we beat Braga, we're back in it.
But after Braga, we're playing Galatasaray. We host it, so this is the Vodafone Derby. But yikes!
It's a lot of October is going to be a crunch month. I think this will define the season. If we rebound or if it
goes off the rails,
we go back to disaster mode. We could easily pick up a couple, especially if we lose to Ankaragücü, get knocked out of the Europa League, lose the Derby.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think for Abdullah Avci, his fortunes rested on kind of coming out. Like, he had a sort of soft early schedule, which he should have been able to take advantage of it, but because he didn't, now his sort of future relies.
We lost to Gazişehir and lost to Sivas.
So he gave away his credit there, and so now it's all coming down to his ability to play against Galatasaray, Braga,
Lost to Slovan Bratislava, lost a home European game. Those are all the games that you'd expect us to pick up. We dropped.
I hate to say it.
Now the games
echoes of Ertuğrul Saylan. I don't know if you remember. That might have been before your time.
So that's early for me. I was like when I first started.
But he also, actually, the irony is Beşiktaş played pretty well in the league in his stead, but we got kicked out of Europe early, and that was how his doom was sealed early. So I don't know. It'll be a referendum on Turkish patience. Have we become a more patient people, or not?
I don't see how Avcı can stay
it's not
in charge
good.
if this next month goes bad. But I think if it goes good, obviously, then everyone's gonna be like, yeah, you know. So
No, and I don't know if he necessarily
But-
merits that patience, honestly.
yeah,
That's a whole nother discussion
I'd
though, for another
definitely
time.
give him to the end of the month for me before I make my decision. If we get 3 losses, then I give up.
Yeah, fair enough.
I gotta be.
Fair enough.
I mean, maybe the league we can still come back, but this is just like I'm not sure if.
Yeah, I don't. He hasn't merited that
especially
much.
if we play bad and lose 3 games. So I mean, it'd be a little bit impatient, but at the same time, I'm not the biggest object guy in the first place. So.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of a guy I am anymore. I don't know who I want. Everything's so dark.
Talking about firing or hiring or whatever. the
Yeah, so
election
this is the last talking point. I think we should very briefly mention the election for the next team president. As you may recall, Fikret Orman announced that he was stepping down just when things really went bad, post Başakşehir here. But so we've kind of been awaiting news on who would be running for the post in this next cycle. And so, Evran, I'm going to hand it over to you. Tell us, we have 4 candidates who are announced. Who are they?
Yeah, so on October 20th, the 4 candidates that'll be up is 2 names I think most people that are familiar will know, and then 2 names at least I don't know. Maybe you guys are more in tune than I am, but so 2 I know are Ahmet Nurçebi and Serdar Adalı, who have been
For
involved
years.
under the for a while, and the other 2 I don't know is Hürser Tekin Oktay and İsmail Ünal. So.
Tekino,
Yes.
I think, is the
Hey,
guy who
guy.
promised us Gareth Bale last summer, if he was named president.
Oh, Tekin Oktay.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. I don't remember. I might be wrong. I don't want to speculate. This isn't my department. Hopefully we'll get Khan back one of these days, and he can. He's generally the one who's more informed in this regard. Me not speaking Turkish does not help as far as getting information on who these back end guys are. But anyway, be back, folks, because we will be back. Of course, for the post Ankara Gücü, we'll have something to say, hopefully. And of course, Braga, Galatasaray, everything. Again.
Also, the one other news piece we missed is Aydin Hazic turned 18.
Has he been signed? Is that
So
is there news?
I'm not sure if the official confirmation happened, but now we are legally allowed to sign him because he's not a minor
You'd
anymore.
assume it would happen.
From
I
a
mean,
different
the dude was
country.
training with the team all fall, so summer.
Under
So hopefully,
transfer
the
clause.
kid,
We don't want to end up like Barcelona with a transfer ban, so we're waiting until he turns 18. So presumably in January, whenever we're allowed to register players, he should be
with the team.
fully
The kid definitely
eligible to
trained
play
with
in
us.
games.
Kid trained with us all summer and fall, so you would imagine this would be done. Hopefully, he didn't change his mind. But yeah, that could be exciting. Supposedly very promising young
I've seen some clips.
player.
He looks good. I mean, they're youth national team highlights for Bosnia, so I'm not gonna put my kitchen or whatever, not my kitchen, my mortgage on a
his
future
career.
mortgage on him being a good player, but I think there's definitely reason to be cautiously excited. And,
Well, knock on
also,
wood, folks.
we don't like playing young players, so another reason to be cautiously excited. Like you might not even.
See, I had hope for Abdullah Avci because of the preseason, and we kept seeing all these guys, but that has been slightly dashed thus far. We have not seen them come in since. Even when I thought, I wanted to see Erdoğan Kaya instead of Necip as a defensive player, at least maybe not against Wolverhampton, but maybe against someone else. But whatever. Let's take this one out. I feel like this episode has captured enough of our immaculate perception of Beşiktaş football in general. Anyway, man. As always, stay tuned. Ankara Gücü, etc. Follow us on Twitter at Eagles_podcast. Really easy stuff there. Follow the mothership, the news source for all things Beşiktaş at Beşiktaş_INT. I don't even know who's running that account these days. But good luck to whoever you are. Are you still doing that, Evran?
Yeah, I still do like the games, the
Match report.
the live commentary.
Well,
But there's
good
not.
man.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know who's on news these days, but yeah, hopefully they're capturing all the stuff that needs to be captured. Follow the man, the MIA, Mr. Khan, at Razarian, at RAZZRIAN. Sorry. Follow this gentleman over here, Evran, at fan of BJK. We're still lobbying for him to change that. Follow myself at sir_rights_a lot. Evran, say something to the masses before we depart.
Hopefully Turkey beats France. By the time the
Yeah.
episode comes out, will be maybe after or around the time that game happens. So
Oh yeah. I mean, I
it'd
hope
be nice
that-
to watch Turkey not blow qualifying and actually
yeah.
not disappoint us like they always do.
Actually
They've been
build on this.
teetering on the edge of disappointment in the past couple games.
They almost blew it against Albania too, man. They really lucked
at
out.
Andorra also. So
Yeah,
we're
man.
praying. Not a lot of Beşiktaş players right now because they all managed to be out of form or injured. But our main man Burak will probably be up there.
Yeah, good luck to him.
Probably our former player Cenk Tosun will play.
Yeah. Might just about
Dorukhan's
be it.
obviously injured. Gökhan's injured. Oğuzhan is injured / awful out of form.
Yeah, Caner.
Johnny never gets called up anymore. And then Güven went back down to the Ümit Milli Takım, which is like the U21 team.
So yeah, man, not a lot of Beşiktaş
Just Burak,
news there.
yeah.
Just Burak. Hopefully
It
he's
would
the
be
one.
nice to see Burak, score a goal against France. I wouldn't be mad. So.
Yeah, I mean he could use the bump in his morale. I think seeing
I think
that
it'd
penalty goal was nice, but I think he could really benefit from seeing a couple go in.
30-yard banger,
I mean, maybe Adem Ljajic most of all, but again, we don't need to
Ljajic is also on
rehash.
international duty,
Yeah,
so hopefully he doesn't suck.
yeah, maybe he can bump his confidence up with a good performance too. But so, the final thing, of course, that I have to say, and it's very important. Go Beşiktaş! Gotcha. Can't steal my thunder. Yeah, be well, folks. Yeah, man. I suppose that's all we gotta say.
Yoldan geldi.
Beşiktaş International hopes you enjoyed this program.